All right, fellas, welcome to Mint Map Spaces on this beautiful Friday. Yeah, great to be back. I think we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's dive a little bit into the crypto markets and, of course, our upcoming Stargaze Mint. Jason, how are things over in Arizona?
Things are good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, everything is great, man. I mean, I remember us talking on Monday to each other, speaking about the crypto markets, saying that it's pretty unpredictable currently. And yeah, like green numbers, it's been a while, but I can say green numbers again after probably a couple of weeks. And besides that, we have a great mint ahead. So yeah, everything is perfect here, man.
That's good, man. You have to remember red numbers are green numbers if you understand that the red numbers are everything on sale, right? So yeah, things are good. We had 20% discounts now for what, 2 weeks or so, week and a half. So it's been good. And we got Brady's going to pop in today. I know we had some questions about what wallets to use and how to get stars. So Brady was kind enough to pop by. So maybe if you want to throw him the mic or request the mic, we'll get that set up and get into a conversation around how that all works as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can just invite him to speak. I actually went on the Stargaze marketplace and saw that it actually suggests Leap and Kepler. I downloaded both. Both seem to be pretty easy to use, actually. Um, pretty similar to Phantom, but Brady can definitely tell us a little bit about how to get stars, which is like the easiest way. So hey, Brady, you should be able to speak now.
Hey guys, good morning or afternoon or whatever time it is where you are. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
You
we're
too,
doing
brother.
great,
Welcome.
man.
Nice. Yeah, I'm happy to chat about whatever I can help you guys with. I'm just like looking at some. We have a new update to like the trending algorithm on Stargaze, which helps helps what would you say deprioritize kind of like spammy collections. So I was just reviewing that, which is cool. Um, Yeah, but I don't know your schedule for the space, so like I'm happy to chill out and answer the questions later, or we could go over stuff now. Whatever works best for you guys.
We're just gonna kind of free flow. My brain will start working here, and my mouth will as well. We're just gonna free flow through some ideas around the market, what's coming up, and what we're gonna be doing. So if you want to address some of those things, feel free to jump in. We had a couple questions in Discord around which wallets were best to use. I know that obviously that there are wallets that are recognized, but there was a little bit of a question around how to actually get stars and that sort of thing. So it was a little bit different from just a straight purchase, and so maybe you could talk a little bit about that, and we could just flow from there.
Okay, sure, yeah. And I'm happy to join your Discord, and I can like post stuff, or I can share some stuff there. You know, we have like little graphic guides and things like that, so I can help out with that or answer questions as they pop up from people. I'll get the link from you after, I guess. For so Cosmos, um, there are two main wallets used in Cosmos. One is Kepler, and the other one is Leap. Kepler is kind of like the first that became popular, and then Leap was created more recently. Um, Around, I mean, I say recently, but I think it was kind of 2 years old, and Kepler was maybe 4 years old or three or four. But Leap is probably the one I would recommend now. Just because the team works pretty closely with the Stargaze team. They're super responsive. They have like one of their team members, joins like tickets on our Discord and stuff for technical assistance. So they're really great from that perspective. They have a lot of nice features in their wallet for like displaying NFTs and so on. So that's a Leap. If you don't mind, I'll maybe pin links to each of their Twitters, just so you guys have like the correct Twitter linked in here. I'll just pin these quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Feel free.
Great. Share space. So I'll just pin one from Leap, and then I'll pin one from Kepler. But between them, you know, they work. They both work well. So it's just kind of a matter of user choice. It doesn't change too much, you know, on the Stargaze side in terms of interacting with the site. But there's Kepler, and then there's Leap. I think Kepler just recently is working on adding like EVM support, so you can like interact with you know, Ethereum and so on through Kepler. So that might be something that's interesting for people if they want to have all their wallets in one, or if they want to use multiple. Kind of up to you guys, but happy to like case by case kind of answer questions on that. Wonder why I can't share the Kepler link. When you connect for the other component, like when you connect to Stargaze, so a couple things. First, Stargaze is there's no gas on Stargaze for sending NFTs or minting NFTs or anything like that. And then otherwise for Cosmos, Stargaze is a Cosmos-based chain, and like fees are very, very low for any transaction. So when you connect to the Stargaze site, I think the most straightforward way for people to onboard to the platform is set up one of those wallets, Leap or Kepler. Then when you connect to the Stargaze site, I guess this is assuming you already have MetaMask or an EVM. There's a link on the top right of the site that says Get Stars. And so you click on that, you can connect both your MetaMask and your Kepler. And so it'll link those, and it'll allow you to make a deposit from Ethereum to Stargaze. And then you just follow that. So it'll allow you to bridge across. The fees are quite minimal for that. You know, it takes a few minutes, as it's like an Ethereum to Cosmos SDK bridge. But I don't think it takes more than like 5 minutes or so to complete it. And then and I think last time I checked, I think the fees are like it's under $1 or something. It's not too bad. And that's how you would transfer from Ethereum to Stargaze, you know, in the first instance. And then your stars would be in your Stargaze balance on Kepler or on Leap, whichever one you chose. And then you can kind of swap around. You know, you can trade on the site. The way Stargaze is built on the Cosmos SDK, and Cosmos is all these independent L1 chains. Other notable ones are like Osmosis, Cosmos Hub, and so on. And kind of the main, I guess you would say, utility or value prop of IBC in this system is that the tokens move very seamlessly from one chain to another. So, you know, stars can be put on the Osmosis chain for almost no fees and very quickly, and then vice versa. So what that means is that, you know, once you're onboarded to Stargaze, you know, if you want to explore any of those other chains, it's very simple to do so. And that's all on the Stargaze site under Get Stars. And that's there's a couple different swap options there. And when you see like IBC swap, what that means is sending between the IBC or Cosmos chains. I think that's probably quite a bit of information. But like I said, like happy to visit, to join your Discord and share stuff in a more organized fashion as well.
That sounds great, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so maybe I know you mentioned this just briefly, but can you talk a little bit about how Cosmos is structured with Stargaze being a part of it? I know that some of these chains, like when you go and you look at the swaps, like the token swaps, it asks you which chains you want to swap from or to, and using which tokens, and gets a little bit confusing, you know, as an outsider looking in. So if we're going to Stargaze, we basically obviously excuse me, we obviously want to interact with Stargaze primarily. So what should we be looking for when we're doing those swaps, just to make sure we're in the right spot?
Yeah, I think that if we're talking kind of broadly about Cosmos or IBC, people kind of use those terms interchangeably. IBC refers to like the protocol that connects all these chains and the method that they interact with one another. And then Cosmos is kind of like a general term people use for the ecosystem. The main to put it simply as possible, it's like all of them are sovereign chains, and the focus is on horizontal integration between them rather than like a vertical integration system where you had like a L1, L2s, and so on. So it's very easy to kind of like jump from one to another horizontally. So how Stargaze fits into that is that it's, you know, a sovereign and independent L1. And since it's built on like the Cosmos SDK, it is able to, you know, send back and forth with all these other Cosmos chains quite easily. So, you know, there are a few like interesting projects in the ecosystem, but you can, you know, you can easily just come over and hang out on Stargaze, which I think a lot of people do for NFTs in particular, because there's a lot of people that come from Ethereum that like, you know, some of the projects and NFTs on Stargaze that maybe don't really have much interest in the rest of Cosmos. So it's not, it's, you know, if you don't want to, you don't really need to interact with any of those other chains. But, you know, the ability to do so is there. And that's also where you see a lot of, I don't know how much you guys have followed Cosmos before, but like the top NFT collections on Stargaze are often targets for like airdrops when new chains are launched. And, you know, part of the reason for that is just that the horizontal integration is so straightforward that it's like very easy to like snapshot. And if you're launching a new chain, you know, snapshot something from Stargaze and do a drop to those people. What I would say, the other thing is that I think this is where the context of your guys' grant is important to kind of understand, which is your mint, you know, is an atom on Stargaze, which I think is maybe not straightforward to people, like why it's why it's like that. But essentially, you know, Cosmos, the first chain was Atom, and then there's all these other chains started afterwards, like including Stargaze, right? And at a basic level, they're all pretty similar, and they're all, like I said, L1s, and kind of just like peers in terms of the hierarchy between them. And Atom is kind of was the main liquidity hub, but it's also like the most simple chain, and doesn't have the same kind of smart contract integration as other chains like Stargaze or so on. So there's been a question for a long time of like, what exactly is the utility for that token? So there's a lot of interest from Atom to kind of get it out there and using it for different use cases. And one of those is minting, you know, seeing how it can be used for NFTs in Stargaze. So Atom can exist, you know, just on the Stargaze chain. And so that's the grant we received for you guys for launching is via Atom, basically. And so the mint is going to be an Atom. And when people are minting on Stargaze, the process to get Atom is actually just the same as I described for like depositing. You just select Atom be the token instead of Stargaze, and these are Atom tokens that exist on the Stargaze chain, because as I said, they can all these tokens can exist on each other's chains seamlessly. And then yeah, for them, like they're very interested in the cultural component of NFTs and like, you know, everything that goes with it. And so that's kind of why, that's the context of Stargaze partnering with Atom and allowing mints to be in their denomination, and then like seeking out, you know, projects like yours to kind of launch because they're very interested. It's also, you know, like Atom as a community in terms of holders and liquidity and so on, it's much larger than Stargaze. But I think a lot of them are not like that, at least traditionally, not as active in NFTs and exploring it. So like it was really important for us to like try and find like quality projects and projects with like some integrity and so on for this launch for that purpose. As there's so that there's going to be people coming over from Atom that are interested in your mint, that maybe it's their first NFT and so on.
Awesome, man.
I'm
Thanks
kind of
for
just going off. Sorry, I'm kind of just going off the top of my head here. So if anything's unclear, please feel free to let me know. And with this, there's like a lot of factors, in terms of like the parties involved and also the systems. So I appreciate like patience, and if it's confusing at all, happy to repeat or like I said, follow up.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate you sharing this, and I'm glad that you took the time to stop by, because I was diving into a little bit of the ecosystem. I see STC popped in. What's up? What's up? She's been super helpful. Yo, welcome. And I popped into a few spaces to obviously try and start getting a better understanding of what's going on. What's up, Bilo? I see you there, bud. And it's a little bit confusing coming from different chains to see how everything sort of integrates and works together. I know the idea behind Cosmos was that it was supposed to unite pretty much all the chains. And it looks like the idea behind Stargaze is for it to be primarily more of an art-based chain or more of an NFT-based chain, but I'm not exactly certain how that plays out or if that's even true. And then two, of course, the mint being an atom versus stars, like these are all questions we want to make sure that we, fully understand. So if I understand what you just put forth, when we do go to mint in terms of this Goodfellas collection, we'll mint using Atom, and Atom is one of the native tokens on the Cosmos chain, but it can be transferred to the Stargaze chain seamlessly, no problems. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. And in the process, like on Stargaze site, when you click Get Stars, there's a swap that's Ethereum and L2s to Stargaze, like the bridge. When you click on that, you can set it to be, Atom on Stargaze, what you're swapping into. So it's just one deposit transaction, and you'll have the Atom token on Stargaze at that instance that you bridge. So you won't need to bridge to Stars and then go somewhere else and find your Atom and then come back to Stargaze. You can do that all in the same. If you wanted
Awesome.
me to answer, I could speak a little bit to Stargaze and like the purpose, if you wanted. Like you mentioned, like your understanding of it as kind of like an art-based chain. Happy to, or we could leave that for another discussion if you wanted.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. I think one of the things that we really strive to do when we're dropping a piece or doing anything new is we really want to understand the history and sort of the provenance, not of just the art, but of its origins. And in this case, the art is the code, and the code is manifesting itself as Stargaze. So please feel free to fill us in. I'd love to get a little bit more of the backstory and all the ins and outs.
Yeah, I think that the way to understand it is like chains can be launched like at a basic level. Stargaze is like a general purpose smart contract chain. So really like anything could be built on it that could be built on any other chain. And it was launched with the purpose of focusing on NFTs and so on, to start. And so the team is both, like services the chain and also focuses on like the main D app on it, right? Like Stargaze Marketplace. It's in a way, it's like a separate entity from the chain itself. There's like the marketplace and launchpad that we maintain, and then there's also the chain, and there are like independent products or D apps that are launched on it from other developers. And when that happens, they go through governance and like a code review if they want to launch anything. So people have launched other things that we didn't have much to do with, things like NFT lending and so on. Those are things that exist that are built by independent teams. But like the Stargaze team focus has been on NFTs. And when it comes to Provenance, it's also been like the lead in developing ICS or in partnership with other projects, but which is ICS 721, which is the protocol for allowing you to transfer NFTs across chains within Cosmos while like maintaining provenance and so on. And the future for Stargaze, like a year from now.
What's going on maybe something going on your end?
Okay. Am I disconnected here, or can you hear me?
Can anyone hear Brady?
I
Thumbs
can
up
hear.
if you can.
I can hear him perfectly, man.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's my fault. I'm just gonna drop down and then come back
Yeah,
in.
all good, man. All good. Maybe I can like take the time here to ask you, Brady, because I was like just trying to see if it works for me to basically trade ETH to Adam. And maybe you can repeat that again because I do not get the possibility to choose Adam here.
Sure. So do you have Leap wallet or Kepler wallet connected, like installed?
Yeah, I actually already clicked on get stars.
Okay. And if you have your MetaMask set up as well, there's the pop-up menu. You connect your wallet, and you should be on the left where it says swaps. You should have Ethereum plus L2s selected.
Yeah.
And where it says you pay, it should say Ethereum and then ETH as the token selected beneath it. And where you click you get, you should have Stargaze, and then it defaults to stars there. You can click the drop down menu and switch to Atom as the asset you receive.
Okay, let's see. If I click on stars, I basically see all assets, and then I should find Adam here. Oh.
Are you clicking on the main site at the top right? There's a little button that says Get Stars. Are you clicking on
Yeah,
that to start
exactly,
the
exactly.
process?
And
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
on on
Sweet.
swaps, Ethereum plus L2s, and then I basically
Perfect.
just click on stars and try to see if I find Adam. But I'm just not sure because it looks like my connection is gone here. But that's where I should find Adam, right?
Under Select Asset. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. One more thing I want to add for the community because I know that a lot of you guys are listening to the recording. Once you connect MetaMask and your Leap wallet, it actually requires a lot of permissions. And I know many people are usually scared of that, but I think all that is necessary, like to be able to swap your tokens. So this should be fine. And in case you're still worried, like you can definitely use a new wallet maybe, and everything should be good.
It's also just in IBC when you sign transactions. You sign each individual transaction, and there's none on Stargaze where it can, like, I know on Ethereum there's some where it's like you allow the contract, permissions to make swaps on behalf of your wallet. We don't have any. We don't have any of those. So that risk that happens sometimes, I think, for people where they get their wallet drained or something, doesn't exist in IBC. You approve each transaction as it happens, so it's quite secure.
Yeah, that's great. I just saw that whenever you like connect your Leap wallet to the MetaMask, it basically asks me here like manage provenance accounts, manage secret networks accounts, yeah, stuff like that. And I know that people are usually scared of that, but just to tell everybody that it's fine and you don't need to be worried. Let's see. I think Jason should be able to speak again.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, perfect. And one more thing I wanted to add to Brady because you said in the beginning that you have some kind of yeah, explanation sheets or something for people to know how to get stars. And if you could hand them over or like share them on the Discord because I will probably send out like a mail to people for them to get like a step by step guide to get their stars, and that would be great if I could have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll join the Discord and share those with you. yeah, we have like little step-by-step GIFs and things like that. So it should be clear for people. As it exists now, just if I could kind of finish what I was saying to Archer, as it exists now, Stargaze is kind of the NFT creative hub within the Cosmos ecosystem, and kind of the main thing that one of the main things the team is working on now is integration with things like Ethereum and Bitcoin ordinals and so on, so that those will be able to be traded on the site as well. So if we're talking about kind of a little bit medium term vision, is to be a fully integrated NFT hub for like all these different chains outside of Cosmos as well.
Oh man, I love that. So yeah, let's dive into that real quick. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time. Obviously, people, there's this idea floating around that, the future is multi-chain. People keep saying this quite a bit, but honestly, I think the future is going to be very few chains. Probably it's going to consolidate down into the most useful bits and pieces of the technology that exists today. Because at some point, duplicated technology is, it basically replaces itself, or basically sets up a scenario where consolidation is the way to go. And so if we're talking about being able to trade ordinals on Stargaze or on a Cosmos-based chain or EVM-based chains like Polygon or what have you, um, that's super interesting in that it unites so many different things. And I think that would bring a major sort of USP into Stargaze or to the Cosmos ecosystem. Can you talk a little bit about how that technology might work? And I realize we haven't had a conversation about this, and this might not be your realm of expertise. That's fine, but maybe if you have a 10,000-foot view, I'm just curious how that would even be structured.
Yeah. My only hesitance for talking about it too much is that like we're working actively with other teams for like deploying it, and so I'm not sure how much, it's a question of like information and how much they want to like put out in their announcements and stuff. But we're actively working with both a team that's EVM based and one that is that works on Bitcoin for integrating both of those things. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to say too much because I don't want to speak out of turn, because like I'm in all those conversations, but sometimes it's hard to keep track of necessarily how much is internal or how much we're revealing, or also like sometimes people want to do like events or do like fun marketing stuff around certain announcements, right? So that's so I don't want to get into it too much, if that's all right.
Yeah, no, of course not. I'm just curious about the high level of the tech on that, because I mean, if we're talking about Bitcoin ordinals, obviously we have an ordinals collection, and we're probably going to end up doing another ordinals collection with the ladies at some point. We've got the male bosses. It'd be cool to get the female bosses in there as well. And as part of the the gamification inside the community is we have people building families of 100 pieces, and with the bosses sitting at the top of the family. So on some level, if I'm looking at an ordinal, and ordinal lives on the Bitcoin chain, is actually taking up data, taking up space on the Bitcoin chain. Paying by virtual byte to get that inscribed to chain. I mean, I'm just curious, like, to how that would actually translate into some sort of Cosmos tradable asset. And I mean, I certainly don't want you to reveal anything that, that might steal someone's thunder. Um, but I'm just curious at the 10,000-foot view of how that tech even looks, because I mean, on a chain where you don't have an inscription and you just have basically a pointer to a file, which is basically what you have on Solana NFTs, although Solana does now do inscriptions. If I have a pointer to a file, that's one thing. But if I have an actual bit of data inscribed to chain, think of it as being data embedded in a database. How would that even look if I'm trading that on Cosmos, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. So like we're working to integrate with a team that's working on Bitcoin L2 for that purpose for ordinals. We're looking at Q4 this year for it. Delays happen, so it might be Q1 2025. But yeah, it would be. I don't have a lot of experience on ordinals myself, so I'm not well versed on how that interacts on that side from Bitcoin to the L2. But we'll be integrated with that L2, so that will allow the route for taking an ordinal onto Stargaze for trading.
Okay, so it's not directly tied to Bitcoin itself, but something that's riding on top of Bitcoin, basically.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. That makes a little bit more sense. I'm just, yeah, I'll have to dive into that a little bit more. I think that there's a lot of use cases for that, and I think ultimately, I was talking about earlier how we should see a consolidation of technologies that do repetitive things. If Cosmos could pull something like that off, or Stargaze, I forget which team you said was working on that, or if it's a tertiary team, I'm not sure. That would be an amazing USP to bring to marketplace. So maybe you can shoot me a little info on that. I'd love to dive in a little deeper.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely can. I'll just kind of review some of the conversations within our team to make sure I have all my info aligned. I don't like misspeaking on things, and then so I'll kind of review, make sure I'm correct about everything, and then I'll follow up with you on it.
100%, man. I appreciate that. And okay, cool. So I appreciate you going through the wallet information. I think one of the main differences that I noticed in the wallets, for those of you guys who are on Solana, it looks like we got Nick, my boy Canna, joined us. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. And if anybody wants the mic, feel free to request it. We're just free flowing, so everyone's welcome to speak and to join the conversation. But one of the things I was curious about is obviously every time the word Stargaze comes up, and especially as it relates to NFTs, I hear about the top collections on Stargaze, and one of those collections is always Bad Kids, right? And so Bad Kids pops up, and it looks a lot like the ABC collection that was dropped on Solana a couple years ago, like these sort of hand-drawn crayon type pieces of art. I'm just curious, maybe if Brady, if you can give us a little more history on some of the origins of these primary collections. What makes Bad Kids so special? How do they go about releasing their collection? Is there anything that they did differently that caused them to stand out? I'm just curious what your opinion and or the history lesson is there.
Yeah, for Bad Kids, it was one of like the Genesis collections that launched on Stargaze, so one of the first to mint. And it was not like an immediate mint out. It was kind of gradual and got quite good community distribution. Like even if you look today, it's like split across over 5,000 wallets out of a 10,000 piece collection. So I think that if a project kind of manages that, that's like a big component to developing, let's say it's like cultural legitimacy. If it's like widely held across the ecosystem by a lot of different holders. Bad Kids, I think, did well for a few reasons. The artist is like a working artist outside of NFTs. And if you look at the art style he did with that collection, it's kind of irreverent. I think almost there's a little bit of NFT parody in a sense, with it like leaning into this super childish art style. And a few other things that people like about it is like there's a lot of variance on like the like the shapes and like traits. It's not simply like one outlined head. and like things, there's a lot of like difference across that. It's one that's like filled with like kind of hidden traits and little Easter eggs and so on. So like for those reasons, I think it kind of like just captured kind of people's imagination to some degree. And then over time, it became popular as a PFP, with developers and things like that. And then it sort of became like kind of a target for airdrops as well. Bad Kids holders have like received pretty significant airdrops in the past. And so that's part of the reason that added a lot to the momentum of the collection over time. As like, people hold it's like, okay, I just have to hold on to this. And it's like a signifier for me as an active participant in Cosmos. So I'm likely to be snapshotted for if a new chain is launching and things like that. That's kind of Bad Kids. And also I'll say like the artist, there's a lot of different approaches to managing NFT collections, and it really depends on your goals. Like some creators are much more involved and some are not. And Cortland, who runs it, is like very kind of laid back and just like not super active. And sometimes that's something that people embrace because then it really becomes like kind of community led in a sense. So that's what I'd say for that one, and like kind of how it sort of rose up to be. I think it's the top collection right now, and all time it certainly is. As for did you ask about other ones, or that's what I'd say about Bad Kids?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I would love to hear your take on maybe the top few. I mean, we talked a little bit about this separately when we had the call with, I think it was with Stardy, if I remember correctly. And we were talking about different strategies. And one of the things that I believe you offered to do was like pull a list of wallets for us that own certain things or stake a certain amount of tokens, which is, I think, super helpful in terms of who to target so that we can sort of weed out the tire kickers and the degens, which is, one of the things that Goodfellas is highly focused on. We're super hyper focused on making sure that we keep the collection to collectors, not necessarily flippers. And that's one of the things that is very unique about what we try to do. And so we do small batches to a dedicated number of people. And I'm always curious as to how different collections choose to position themselves. And so, not being around for the Bad Kids drop, I was just curious what the history there was. But if you have other information on some of the other top collections, since we're still learning, if you'd maybe share, what you feel like caused them to stand out and or what caused them to position themselves in such a positive light. I would love to know that because obviously Alex and myself and everybody that we're working with, we want to make sure that we give ourselves and our holders and collectors the greatest opportunity at success.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, like for Bad Kids, aside from it being like a Genesis launch, and I think people see credibility or legitimacy in collections, if they're part of an event like that. Aside from that, it was like a very kind of organic growth. It just kind of happened to get really popular in a sense, and with like a very like laid back creator. For others, just looking at the top collections, a lot of them have an association with. There's a few different kind of like approaches, I guess we could say. Part of this is connected to, like I said, the way Cosmos is structured with, all these different chains and different communities. Some projects on Stargaze, their community association is actually more so with another chain, and they sort of operate as like an unofficial mascot of that community in a way. And that's kind of like, for example, that's what sloths are for the TIA community. So that was launched as like a TIA. What all TIA stakers were whitelisted for that collection. So it brought a lot of TIA users over. And they've kind of embraced that. And then, so within Stargaze, they kind of are their own kind of sub community, and they actually have more overlap with other chains. And then, Stargaze is kind of where they're, I don't mean mascot in a bad way, but it's kind of like where the mascot or the cultural element of their project is. Same so for mad scientists, which are connected mostly with the osmosis chain. And a lot of we've seen activity over the last week with all these kind of clown and unicorn and degen kind of collections, and a lot of that is connected to this unicorn chain that launched recently. That's a super like hyper meme kind of chain, and so you see people interacting with stuff kind of like connected to that. And then there's ones like Pixel Wizards, for example. Is a pretty neat collection that was created by Bernie, who he started as a creator on Stargaze and was later hired by the team. So he's like does a lot of the work on the Stargaze front end now. He launched that. He's really active in like always kind of producing extra goodies and different kind of like utility things for his NFTs, like mostly like fun based utility, I'd say. Like those ones, those NFTs are actually like an HTML. So if you open one of those, the Pixel Wizards, if you press Q, W, E, or R, they're like an interactive NFT. So they'll do something like display a token or float up in the air. And he has a bunch of other funny stuff kind of programmed into it. Like on certain holidays, the NFTs will transform into wearing a costume or something associated with that holiday. So I think that like that kind of thing where it's a matter of like a lot of care visibly put into the product is like a really important strategy, I think. And Bernie is like both like he's creative and also like a talented developer. So that's why he kind of ended up on the Stargaze team after. So I think that people also see a collection like that as like very aligned with the sort of community and chain otherwise. And that's like a big component for me, certainly. When you see outside of maybe people launching like other fun stuff regularly, people that are really like engaged with the community or are like supportive of other quality collections, I think goes a long way. Generally speaking, I think there's a lot of like Stargaze community is very active. It's like a smaller community, but there's a lot of alignment across like collectors and creators and the team as well. So engaging with that, I think is a good strategy. But like I said, like a lot of them are kind of, it's more so they're associated with other chains or projects. There's also these like the meme ducks, for example, and those are connected with another chain or are kind of seen as the mascot of it.
Awesome, man. Thanks for that. So this might be a little bit of a techie question, but since we're, basically working on artwork now, we've seen quite a few things happening across different chains, like Ethereum, for example, where if you held, if you held a DeGod, like I held a few DeGods, and on Ethereum chain, I could look at different versions of that artwork. So it sounds like what you were just explaining with Bernie is he's found a way to do something similar to that, where he can update the artwork or give certain features to the artwork based on, like you said, a special occasion or something like that. Does Stargaze provide the opportunity or the capabilities for us to do different versions of the same NFT within a particular piece, or is that just something that is kind of being played with at the moment?
So we don't have the ability to, let's say there's the public version and then the private version, and maybe that's two different images. It's like a black image, let's just say, right? When it's listed on Marketplace, and then when you buy it, it's only you can see what it is. We don't have that kind of functionality, but you are able to update. You can migrate the contract to updatable. And so the creator can then update the NFTs if they want. Some communities don't necessarily want this because maybe your focus is on the NFT is what it is when it was created, right? But there's other models that maybe you want it to be something that's like updated over time, or changes made, or you could gamify that with like changing metadata or Easter eggs put in at certain times. So that updatable functionality is there. I think the most common, I think I mentioned to you, is to use that updatable contract to do like a reveal. So sometimes people will mint it as something like it's hidden. You don't know exactly what it is until the mint, and then they do a reveal, a day later or 2 days later. Sometimes people do that for fun. And like I said, with Bernie's, it's a matter of actually like what the file is on IPFS, right? So for the Pixel Wizards, like if you download one of them, it's not a PNG, it's an HTML. So it has all this, you can have all this stuff coded into it to update on certain dates and things like that.
Okay, so so the updates were actually coded into the original files when they were uploaded?
Yes, I believe so. That's it's a question for Bernie, I think, a little bit on the process, but
yeah, not to put you on the technical spot there, bud. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure 100% the details of how he did it on upload, but that's just what's distinct about those versus like a PNG. So like I said, when you open it, like a few people have done things like Bernie's released small games on Stargaze, for example, like a basic Space Invaders style game that you can just play in the site, and that's all a matter of coding on the file that then becomes NFT rather than something that's integrated on the Stargaze side or enabled, if that makes sense. The site can display a wide variety of files, whether it's MP4 or HTML or PNG.
Yeah, very cool. As you were talking about that, my mind is just racing because obviously one of the things that you said that we really key on heavily inside Goodfellas is this idea of really putting and pouring a lot of yourself into what it is that you do. And so for us, like every aspect of the experience of not only creating but consuming an NFT, whether it's just the minting process or you're pulling it up in your wallet to look at the details very closely. A lot of times you'll find if you zoom in on an NFT, you'll see like stray artwork marks, and you'll see where the artist really didn't give too much care to really honing in on a piece. And from mint, whether it's like little mint animations when people push the button, or just creating beautiful backgrounds and graphics on the mint pages, to all the way through making sure there's no stray marks on the artwork. These are things that really matter a great deal to us. And then of course, obviously, dotting the I's and crossing the T's with legality in terms of making sure that our holders have IP rights to the content that they actually purchase, so that it's theirs to do with as they please. I mean, all of these things add up to, I think, a tremendous amount of alignment with what I'm hearing you talk about through Stargaze. And that's really refreshing for someone like myself who believes that, we should have more equality. And maybe that means that we, get a smaller number of holders initially as, the technology continues to evolve and people continue to come into the marketplace. But we get out of the, sort of pump and dump trash that's so common in the marketplace. So I appreciate you, just sort of walking through some of the philosophies and around all that stuff. And when you were talking about the HTML, this actually piqued my interest because if we do a Lady Boss's set of ordinals, one of the things that we're considering doing is recursive ordinals, which basically means that we would create HTML files that would then be layered inside a specific ordinal. And of course, those HTML files would behave similarly to what's happening with what you're talking about with what Bernie did. And then, pairing that out to what Ethereum offered on OpenSea with like like D guys, for example, seasons 1, 2, and 3, clicking on a button to see different versions of the art, or having artwork be more interactive. These are all things that we want to get to, and we want to push for, and to continue to add value and bring, more interesting sorts of experiences to the marketplace. So I'm really feeling good about everything that I'm learning about Stargaze. And I appreciate you taking the time today, especially last minute, to pop in here and to answer some questions, probably some basic questions that you get a lot. But yeah, feel free to pop into Discord and, start dropping some information there. Maybe Alex can even create a channel that has like Stargaze specific information on it. And for those of you guys who, popped in and are kind of hearing this random conversation between between people talking about two different chains and a collection that you may have never heard of. The whole idea behind Goodfellows is to really bring high quality artwork to high quality holders, and to make sure that those holders have IP rights to the things that they purchase, so that no matter what happens with myself or Alex or anyone that we're working with, you own the pieces and you can do with them as you choose. And one of our primary goals is to make sure that you don't ever have to worry about, popping open your Discord and seeing a goodbye message from some random person, some random anonymous person who just decides that they've had enough that day. So at the end of the day, I think that our incentives are greatly aligned with what I'm hearing from the Stargaze community, which is fantastic. And I'm super grateful to Maria, who isn't on this call, but I'm going to have to give her just a message of thanks for connecting us with Stargaze and Brady, and having us apply for this grant. So we're stoked for this particular drop. And that said, we've dropped some pieces of like little peeks of the previous female artwork that we've had. But for the next few weeks or so, we're going to be basically rehashing this artwork and updating it, and basically making it into something a little bit more original that hasn't been seen before, which is going to be a tremendous amount of work. Um, and, when we go to launch on Stargaze, the plan is to initially drop 210 pieces, keeping with our 21s theme. So for those of you guys who are following along, obviously we came into this using Bitcoin as a gate, and with Bitcoin being the granddaddy of all chains, so to speak, there's a 21 million supply cap, and so part of what we're doing is keying off of that, using the 21 as a recurring theme inside our collection, whether it's limited prints, or whether it's rolls where we're doing multiples like 7s, 14s, and 21s. You'll see a lot of that throughout our collection. And if we can successfully, migrate the females and drop them on Stargaze, and maybe I think we can ultimately add to that collection as we go, which is one of the things that I know, Brady, you had mentioned to me about previously. Although we can't add it to the same collection, if I understand it correctly, we can add multiple collections and maybe consolidate at some point. So that said, Alex, I know you've been kind of quiet over there, and I'm not sure if you have any questions, so I don't want to monopolize the time. But did you have any questions that I didn't address, that maybe you want to ask Brady while we have him here? And then, of course, if anyone listening has questions about either the project and what we're doing and want to create, or either chain or moving tokens between, feel free to throw up a hand and we'll get those questions answered.
Yeah, it was actually a great thing to be a spectator this time, listening to you guys. I was actually taking a lot of notes. I followed what you said about the collections, and I really enjoyed you having here, Brady. I'll definitely try to get Adam and stars now. I'll dive into that, and if I have any questions, I'll reach out to Brady and ask him. And you guys can be sure if I manage to get Adam, you guys will be able to do that as well. So shouldn't be too difficult from what I saw. And if you guys set up the Leap wallet, if you guys set up a Kepler wallet, and you got your MetaMask, it should be very easy. So yeah, looking forward to the drop as well. I actually saw that you can even earn stars and getting like a huge APR. I've probably never seen something like that. Brady gotta explain me how they do this, but yeah, looking forward to the mint as Jason said, and couldn't be more excited. I think that there are a lot of possibilities and opportunities on Stargaze, and I'm definitely excited to see and get to know the community over there. As I saw that there are a lot of dedicated people who love the art, and yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. And besides that, I think we are good. I love that we jumped into the tech stuff as well. And I think next time we can definitely jump a little bit into the art. Maybe a little update to you, Jason, and the community. Obviously, we try to reach out to the OG artist of the ladies as well. I'm trying to see if he manages to create some new traits for us, or like refine the art somehow. Like there are some pieces or some traits that we want to change a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately, it's like a little yeah, time consuming, because yeah, sometimes takes a little while until I get a response. But yeah, have that experience with many artists out there. Hope to get in touch with them as soon as possible to hop on a call and discuss everything, because obviously we know that a month from now is not a lot of time to create the art. And I know you have like a tremendous challenge, because obviously Jason is responsible for the art. And yeah, in case you need any kind of help, man, I'm here, and I hope to be as helpful as possible. And yeah, if no one else got any questions, Jason, do you have anything to add or to say for your final words here?
No, nothing to add. I just want to, throw a quick thank you to Brady. I did ask him to jump on it like literally the very last minute. So I appreciate you
Yeah,
taking
no
the time,
problem.
man.
Yeah, and sorry if I was like a motor mouth. I like sat down with my coffee right as you messaged, and I'm like, I'm in that space where I'm like still kind of asleep and then also hyper alert. So mind is racing. I hope it was mostly coherent. But I want to say also like we selected you guys because we really like we chatted a bit too, and I really like your approach. Um, in terms of like the ethos and how you're, focus on ownership and like the fundamental, I think, values and integrity that you guys have in your project, but then also the art. Like I think it's a really cool collection. It's going to stand out a lot. So I hope you're not working too much. Or I hope you're getting some sleep while you work on it before before the launch next week. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to look awesome. So, and thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course, man, for sure. You're always welcome, you know that. And guys, we're here every Friday, usually 10 o'clock. We might have to move that around depending on how things flow for Alex over in Germany. But yeah, everybody's welcome, of course. And I mean, one of the things that I appreciate so much about this project and just some of the words that you just shared, Brady, is the fact that you acknowledge the fact that we do have a set of values and an ethos that we're not going to deviate from. And if that means we have a smaller population, but it's more dedicated, then that's perfectly what we're willing to accept and what we really want to create. Because ultimately, as the timeline goes along and NFTs become more of something that is being adopted more in the mainstream, UIs smooth out, technology becomes easier for the end user. We want to be able to have the people who are really loving the space and loving the imagery and loving the act of collecting and understanding that art is the utility and understanding that there's so much fun in collecting, especially early on, that we really want to cater to those people. And you guys are our niche. You guys are the ones that we are really wanting to spend our time with in the trenches. And so yeah, I'll definitely be doing a lot of artwork. According to Alex, that's my responsibility now. And I'll gladly take that on. So I'm looking forward to dropping these female forums. I think they're going to be, hopefully they'll be very well received, and we'll get with you, Brady, on whitelisting and what we should do there, and basically just rely on your expertise for much of what we're doing. We're here to learn and to provide as much value as possible to every single holder there. So, that said, if I'll open the floor if anyone wants to say anything. Other than that, I'll go ahead and start closing it out. And just again, super grateful for each and every person inside the community. we appreciate you guys honoring the fact that we're doing honorable things and that we're bringing truth and we're bringing as much light as we can to what at one point was a very dark space. And we're doing it on Solana primarily, and now stepping into Stargaze. So it's a real, I think on some level we feel a tremendous responsibility to, to stand firm in our value system. And on another level, we're just super grateful that we found a few people who really want to run hard and help us bring good things to life. So thank you for every single person here. You are much appreciated, and I'm sending every single one of you guys much love for a fantastic weekend. And so that said, I'll open the floor and/or turn it over to Alex.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better, man. Thank you everyone for being here today again. Looking forward to next week. Looking forward to Monday, talking about talking on podcast as well. A lot of interesting topics, a lot of good things ahead. Thank you again, Brady. And yeah, thank you everyone today. Looking forward to see you guys next week and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye.